Howdy YouTube. Today we're taking a look at the Jakks UFC Series 8 Nate Diaz. One of my favourite fighters. I love Nate's boxing. It just seems so precise and so accurate. In terms of his brother Nick Diaz, I think he's a bit of a tool. I'm not a fan of Nick Diaz at all. Nate, for some reason, I really like. It reminds me a little bit, if you've watched Walking Dead, a lot of the dynamic that, and I've had a complete mental blank, Dale and his brother, who I honestly cannot remember. But anyway, Nate Diaz is like the less douchebag of the two. He's got some, as I said before, a great fighting style, great submissions, great boxing, really entertaining fighter to watch. For some reason, he's really young, but it just seems like he's doing nothing in terms of the UFC. He lost his last fight, which was about 12 months ago now, to a decision, I'm pretty sure. He's got another fight coming up next week or the week after. And yeah, I feel like he should be a title contender because he's very talented and he's a great boxer, but he just, I don't know, it doesn't seem like his career is going anywhere. But hopefully I'm wrong. He's still young. Hopefully he's got a bit of time to turn that around. In terms of the packaging, it comes in the standard Jakks UFC octagon style packaging. Nice shot of Nate Diaz there on the left. Series 8, of course, was one of the last series of UFC figures that ended up getting released. It is from Fight Night 19. And taking a look on the back of the packaging, great setup, obviously, with the triangle choke. Other figures in the set, of course, legendary Matt Hughes, Frankie Edgar, Rampage Jackson, Nate Diaz, and Chuck Liddell. What a solid MMA lineup. I wish they still made these figures, even if they only released one or two a year. That would be good. I mean, they had all the molds and everything. It's a real shame because they made some fantastic figures. At the time of this, Nate was only 25 years old, 6 foot, so he's decent, 70 kilos, so he weighs about my weight, but I think he would smash me pretty easily. Anyway, let's get this guy opened up out of packaging and hopefully give you guys a cool review. Alright, and here we have Nate opened up and out of packaging. I finally remembered the names. It was Daryl and Merle from The Walking Dead. Nate reminds me of Daryl. He seems somewhat productive and useful, and Nick reminds me a lot of just a jerk in general. Anyway, in terms of the figure, this is awesome. I'll bring it forward so you guys can see. I think Jakks absolutely nailed the face sculpt. He's a great fighter, not one of the best talkers. A lot of his post-fight interviews, I think, will use a little bit of work, but I think that's just the way he is. I believe he also won the Ultimate Fighter, or at least was one of the finalists. Just a real talented mixed martial artist, and I think Jakks did a great job with the face scan on this guy. One thing I really like too is he's got a very unique body mold. It's one that is a little bit different to the standard UFC figures, which is good because one of the criticisms Jakks got quite a lot of is that they tend to reuse a lot of parts, and at least with this guy it seems reasonably unique. Another thing I love, of course, if you watch my channel, is video games, so it's nice that he's sponsored by Assassin's Creed. That's pretty cool, actually. Love the trunks he's got on. It actually looks pretty much the exact same as the Frank Mir trunks, just obviously with different sponsors put on it. But a really cool looking figure, a very rare and hard to find figure. Took me quite a while to actually pick this guy up. I think I ended up getting him for $30 or so, which isn't too bad. I mean, some prices on UFC figures go for a lot, others go for hardly anything. It's all, I guess, really luck of the draw when it comes to buying on eBay. But yeah, really, really cool looking figure. Now, in terms of articulation, he's got a ball-jointed head. He's got the standard UFC arm swivel, ball-jointed shoulders, ball-jointed bicep, swivel in the elbow, swivel in the wrist, ab crunch, swivel in the waist, ball-jointed legs, swivel in the thigh, swivel below the thigh, I guess, and above the knee, double bend in the knees, and then ball-jointed ankles. So in terms of articulation, you're not going to get much more than that, which is really good. That's what you want with a good UFC figure. The only problem I have, and it's with a lot of the other UFC figures, is over time the ball joints in the legs become really loose and really weak, and you have some issues getting the figures to stand. But otherwise, a really, really awesome figure. And in terms of size comparison, you can really see the difference between someone who's 70 kilos and I guess a light heavyweight. I think he stacks up really well. Really awesome looking figure. I'm a big fan of Nate Diaz. And if you get a chance and you can find this guy for the right money and the right price, absolutely, I think he's well worth picking up. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed this review on the Jakks UFC Series 8, Nate Diaz.